I'm Dr. David A. Bray, Chief Information Officer at the U.S. Federal Communications Commission. So as a global society, we're in the early stages of how the digital revolution will begin to change not only how we work, how we play, but also how we exist together as societies. And particularly for public service, where we've actually designed, at least for representative democracies, our organizations not to change overnight. There are certain things you don't want to necessarily have change on a whim, such as the tax code or how you do defense. These create interesting challenges because we are in an exponential age that do require us to think beyond just linear adjustments to organizations. And whereas the motto in Silicon Valley and other places in the world that are innovation hubs are fail fast and fail often, I don't think for government you really want to adopt the model of fail fast and fail often. And so this raises interesting questions about how can public service agencies adapt to the exponential change in the world, given that they don't necessarily have venture capital funds, and are actually also not expected to take too many risks because failure is not an option. And so that's where I like to point out to people that the words expertise and experiments have the same root, which is expert, meaning out of danger, and that the only way you get expertise is you do dangerous experiments. And so I see my role as a public sector CIO is to almost be that human flak jacket, as well as venture capitalist, where I encourage bottoms-up changes within my organization, and I actually encourage people to come to me with ideas. There's a wonderful article from Harvard called In Praise of Incomplete Leaders, which says that the best leaders recognize they don't have all the answers, but they actually reward people that point out new opportunities, as well as their blind spots. And so I see my role in the public sector as how can I cultivate that sort of moral approach to change agents that have permission to take risk, to do those experiments, so that we as a public sector can gain the expertise as to how do we adjust to our exponential times. One of my central tenets as a Chief Information Officer is the idea of change agents. And by change agents, I really mean about empowering people to take a bottoms-up approach to create change in the organization. I think the traditional model has been we think about top-down change, but really what I'm trying to do is change that paradigm and actually think about I create a space in which I can reward creative problem solvers. And within that space, I want to give people autonomy. They can make meaningful change, they can see the results, and they can actually see meaningful progress. And finally, they have a compelling mission where actually what they do really matters. Because studies show if you give people autonomy, if you actually give them meaningful, measurable tracking of their changes, and you actually give them the actual meaningful purpose, that then will result in them actually being able to work regardless of the salary. And unfortunately, I can't pay exorbitant salaries because I am public sector. And so when I arrived at the FCC, I actually looked for change agents both existing in the organization, but also in Silicon Valley, in academia. And so the model that I really see it is that a chief information officer should be a venture capitalist, where I'm looking for good ideas. I'm looking to reward problem solvers. And if someone comes to me with an idea, I'm going to ask them, basically, have you thought about 3 reasons why this idea would not work out? And if they can give me 3 reasons, then the next question I'll ask is, okay, and how will we mitigate that? And if they have the 3 questions answered, and if they have the 3 ways of mitigating it, then I'm willing to take a risk and be that venture capitalist on the inside of public service and invest in them.